Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Tension brewing between the Negral Chamber of Commerce and small business owners at the Vendors Plaza in Westmoreland. Invest Jamaica conference on the way in Montego Bay, St. James. And later in sports, Leon Bailey clears the air on early days with the Reggae Boys. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. The UK Privy Council began hearing arguments this morning in the case brought by the Jamaican government and the General Legal Counsel, which are appealing a 2020 Court of Appeal ruling that an amendment to the Proceeds of Crime Act in 2013 was in breach of the Constitution. The amendment would compel attorneys to report instances of financial crimes in dealing with their clients. The Jamaican Bar Association has resisted, claiming that the legislation would damage the rights of citizens to an independent legal profession. The hearing will continue tomorrow. Hundreds of business leaders from across the region and the world have converged on Montego Bay, St. James for the Invest Jamaica conference. Now, the objective is to forge strategic partnerships for trade and investment. Our business reporter, Javon Keys, is at the Montego Bay Convention Center and now joins me live. Javon?
Thank you so much, O'Shane. Now, more than 600 persons are registered for this Invest Jamaica conference taking place here at the Montego Bay Convention Center under the theme, Jamaica, the nearshoring delivery hub of the Caribbean. Now, in the morning session, we've heard from a number of speakers, including the Minister of Investment, Industry and Commerce, Aubin Hill. And of course, he spoke to some key areas that Jamaica is looking to bring investment in for, to include global digital services, logistics, manufacturing, agribusiness, finance, and so much more. We also heard from Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who doubled down on the fact that they are seeking to build more relationships with other persons, including people in the region, to bring more money into Jamaica. But the key highlight from this morning's session was the announcement by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark, who indicated that there will be some amendments to the large-scale project and pioneering industry Act 2013, which is looking to attract investments to the tune of $1 billion.
This is an act that aims to attract investments of $1 billion or more to Jamaica. That act will have some provisions in it that allow us to offer investors who are making that kind of commitment to Jamaica, and it's over $1 billion with a minimum level of jobs created as well, will allow us to offer investors in that category the certain benefits.
Now, the Finance Minister also indicated that the amendments to this legislation will also provide for a number of incentives for individuals or companies or whomever would decide to take advantage of the new stipulations.
All right, thank you very much, Javon, with that report out of Montego Bay, St. James. And we will have much more in Primetime News at 7. The government is hoping that with the implementation of a new irrigation system, farmers will get more yields from their fields, even in times of drought. Shamala Pullen reports.
For some time now, the impact of climate change is being felt in the local agriculture sector. Farmers have been experiencing extreme dry weather conditions, some suffering losses in the millions. There are signs, however, that things are picking up. Minister of State in the Agriculture Ministry, Franklin Witter, says despite the challenges, St. Elizabeth has done well in the third quarter of this year, contributing 17.7% of Jamaica's total crop production.
And for the third quarter this year, St. Elizabeth produced approximately 38,000 tons of produce, a 13% increase compared to last year, 33,643 tons. That needs another one. In fact, along with Trelawney, Manchester, we collectively account for almost 50%, 46.6% of the country's total crop production.
He's hopeful that the farmers will do even better with the commissioning of a new irrigation system. Over 700 farmers operating on some 810 hectares of agricultural land in Essex Valley now have access to the water supply.
Supplementing the enhanced irrigation system are the development of several facilities responsible for activities such as food safety and sanitation, in addition to the infrastructure that will provide renewable energy and the consultancy service that will render assistance to our farmers. So we're not only providing water to the farmers, but we'll be providing other services through this program.
Mr. Witter also says farmers will now be able to produce enough crops for export. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
A TVJ cameraman was attacked this morning while covering a story in Homestead, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. The photojournalist was at the Homestead Primary School covering a sick-out by staff members. The teachers are protesting an incident involving a student throwing several stones in a classroom yesterday. Now, while on the filming scene, the cameraman was attacked by a man from the community who punched him. The man also grabbed his camera, ripped the microphone cable, and attempted to damage the camera. The man also tried to seize the mobile phone of a Gleaner correspondent. The police were alerted and are currently on the scene. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Tension is brewing between the Negril Chamber of Commerce and small business owners at the Vendors Plaza in Westmoreland. The vendors are accusing the chamber of evicting them from the plaza in order to lease the property to another investor. But as you'll hear in this report from Sander Williams, the chamber is clearing the air.
This is the Vendors Plaza in Negril, Westmoreland. It was built in 1994 as part of efforts to get the vendors in the town off the streets. The Negril Chamber of Commerce is responsible for collecting rent from those who occupy shops. However, tension is now brewing between the vendors and the chamber.
We are here from 1994 and now they are saying we cannot stay here no more. We have to go because they are planning to lease this plaza to a investor, right? A big investor. And so we are the one who formed the plaza from the beginning. They were not the one.
The Negril Chamber of Commerce explains it has been a challenge to collect rent from the vendors.
We suspend rent from them in the height of COVID, right? Now, they continuously owe money, refuse to pay, fine 101 excuse not to pay. The directors refuse, rightly so, to continuously putting money in something which people don't appreciate and which we have no way of collecting the rent. Some of them, when they owe rent, you just go one day and they disappear overnight.
Director at the chamber, Daniel Grizzle, says some vendors at the plaza are collectively in arrears of up to $12 million.
I say Kobe just done 1 3 year, what a Kobe, so the people are up on a go slow.
There is one guy there now, the one who is the barber upstairs. He owes some $300,000 from a mingy rent of about $12,000 a month. So you can just imagine when last he pays rent and he intend to remain there forever. He can't. He just cannot.
The vendors have also accused the chamber of breaking the locks of their shop in an attempt to frustrate them. Mr. Grizzle dismisses the claim.
That is the biggest barefaced lie you can ever think. Which chamber member you think was going to get up out of the bed, leave their business, go middle of the night, go lick off lock? No, that's any lock being, the only people who has vandalized that building are they themselves. We may have put locks on the door, right? For people who don't pay their rent and who had eviction notice and didn't move. We put locks on the door, a few doors, but we never vandalize anything. We never lick off anything.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
A motorcyclist is dead and his pillion in serious condition following a collision with a truck on the Draxall Main Road in St. Anne last night. The deceased has been identified as 30-year-old Maurice Morris, a mechanic of Windsor in St. Anne's Bay. Now, it's reported that about 9:25, the driver of the truck was in the process of making a right turn in the vicinity of the Total Energies gas station when he collided with a motorcycle that was on the soft shoulder. An eyewitness spoke with our news team last night.
Estate up there, so. Truck flash cross road same time. I try to beat the other car. But one car come up on the opposite side and I try to beat the car. And he slam bike man, I try to sight him and he slam in the bike man.
When you rush on the scene, what do you actually see? And how you participate in terms of helping?
Alright. When I test the next one pulse, to see if he's still alive. See? That the rider, him dead for a stroke off, him neck pop.
Mr. Morris, who was driving the motorcycle, was pronounced dead at hospital while the pillion was admitted. At least one training institution in St. Catherine is hoping to help the country in improving the shortage in the local labor force. Herman Green reports.
Could this small training institute in Linstead, St. Catherine be part of the answer to Jamaica's increasingly desperate shortage of skilled workers? Operator Shahid Cole thinks so. The educator and skills trainer says most of the young people he trains are equipped with skills in carpentry, metalwork, masonry, and other areas. These skills help make them more marketable. But just as important for him is the role these life skills could play in changing the lives of young people who are considered troubled or at-risk youth from crime-plagued areas.
Young people might come in, but we're not saying that they have to be an engineer, an architect, or so forth. But the skills that they're learning also helps them to find themselves and what is it that they're good at and what is it that they think they want to do.
The trainer targets young people ages 17 and older for his program. This mission to train young people is personal to him, considering his past experiences in the inner city.
I got out of a very dark place in my life, and this is where I thought that if I could teach skills to young people, then that might also give them options. And being a teacher for over 15 years and trying to help so many young people, I saw that there's a way to teach and to bring life if you took the young people outside of their present environments and put them in a space as beautiful as this.
At present, students are engaged in a 6-week program undergoing training in 6 specialized areas. A new living element has been added this year.
When a young man goes home to his environment, dark space, and he comes to classes and he gets a light, and then he goes back into that same environment and he comes back, that counter productive type of training makes it difficult for that person to grow. So the aim is to put them in a concentrated space where they live and learn at the same space, and you get the opportunity to see their attitude and their actions. You see how they respond to pressure. They have to wake up early, they have to go to bed late, they have a lot of assignments to do, and that pressure is what causes them to understand who they are.
A partnership is presently being discussed with the Heart NSTA Trust to help with certification for all the training programs.
We have engaged them already, so as time progresses, that's actually the aim in having that level of certification, city and guild certification or otherwise.
The participants, most of them shy, were clear that more of these training opportunities are needed across the country.
So they should definitely implement some of these programs into the communities because it's so beneficial and it uplifts the youth and take them from doing and making bad decisions in their life.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
In the world of business, inventors and entrepreneurs are being urged to protect their intellectual properties from exploitation by using patents. According to the Executive Director of the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, JIPO, Lily Claire Bellamy, she's recognized that businesses often do not secure their handiworks and ideas. With patents, the owner can prevent or stop others from using the protected interventions for commercial use. This protection generally spans 2 decades. This protection generally spans 2 decades. In business overseas, the protest in China could not have come at a worse time for foreign companies that operate in the country. It has been almost 3 years of intermittent lockdowns, disrupted supply chains, and rules that have turned away investors due to political instability. But it is the COVID numbers in China that are really rattling investors. Recent days have seen about 40,000 new cases, record highs for China. But with authorities determined to stamp out infections, according to President Xi Jinping's zero-COVID strategy, that could mean more disruption to manufacturing, services, and normal consumer behavior. That's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
Now for the top regional and international stories, here's Sandy Williams.
In the region, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, is warning that progress in HIV prevention and treatment has been stagnant over the past 3 years. According to UNICEF, an estimate of over 100,000 young people under the age of 19 died last year from AIDS-related issues. This, UNICEF says, is coupled with over 300 newly infected persons, bringing the total number of young people living with HIV to 2.7 million. UNICEF says this comes on top of an existing and growing gap in treatment between adults, children, and pregnant women in the Caribbean region. On the international scene, the Qatar World Cup chief has admitted that over 400 migrant workers have died in projects connected to preparations for the World Cup tournament. According to reports by The Guardian, 6,500 South Asian migrant workers have died in Qatar since the country was awarded the World Cup in 2010. This comes as most migrants were allegedly being paid low wages with hard labor, frequently in scorching temperatures. This figure is a significant increase over prior claims, but it still falls short of other estimates. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Jermaine Brown will have your midday sports report.